26 ventilators for use for case management in an isolation unit. But we also received 3,560 fingertip oxygen pulse oximeters, which can help also to monitor the patient, both in facilities and in hospitals and at home. So these are the two elements I brought to you today. And as I said, as a gesture of solidarity and continuous support, WHO is providing to Nigeria as it battles the COVID-19 pandemic. And this is in addition, as you know, Honorable Minister, to all the other support we are providing in different pillars of COVID-19 response. So this is what brought me here today. With your permission, Honorable Minister, I would like to present to you a sample of that donation where the truck is parked outside with the rest of the donation to be brought to the storage. Thank you, Honorable Minister.
I know the many technical questions and issues we have sent to you for advice and for opinion, and I also strongly appreciate all the contributions in training that we have received. I know that you have been supporting the training of intensivists and also supporting various other initiatives here. I also know of the participation of WHO in the UN body that supported us at the very beginning of this challenge with donations, with reassurance, with confidence-building measures, and not the least, the very important role that WHO plays both at the Presidential Steering Committee and before that at the Presidential Task Force for COVID-19, the guidance that is always coming from you. So we thank you and appreciate these additional assets that we have to deal with our fear of third wave of COVID-19. We know that ventilators have always become very useful, and not only useful for the response to any threat of COVID-19, but even after COVID-19, extremely useful assets all over the country. We shall have inventory of ventilators that will meet all our needs and expectations that we have had over the years. The dreams of so many ventilators in our country, more than we would even have thought we could get. So I want to thank you very much for that consideration and the training that will go along with utilizing them. And on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria, to receive these ventilators and to appreciate the thoughts behind it, as we fear for the third wave and the virulence that goes along with the Delta variant that we are fearing. I want to use this opportunity to also enjoin the Department of Food and Drugs to work closely with the Department of Hospital Services to ensure a fair, even, and equitable distribution of these ventilators so that they are available where they are needed, and also with the flexibility to have a reserve that you can move to any areas where need and demand surpasses the actual utilization, which can happen here at any time, that one particular area suddenly discovers that they need more ventilators than they have in stock. So you can replenish those areas and not be caught off guard. So the equitable and wise distribution is going to be a charge that I give to the Department of Food and Drugs to ensure that it supports our strategy to reduce mortality and also to address morbidity following COVID-19. I thank you very much, Country Director, and your team for this visit.
WHO has provided this donation made of 26 ventilators and pulse oximeters as our contribution to support Nigeria as it's battling the COVID-19 pandemic, particularly with the signal of the third wave that have started. As you know, ventilators are critical equipment for those who are having symptoms of severe diseases, particularly respiratory distress. So this is why we've provided this donation as a contribution to those efforts and to complement efforts already underway by the federal government of Nigeria. WHO continue to provide the advice needed for countries to prepare better. As you know, ever since the pandemic started, WHO was the first one to come up with a guideline on how to plan to respond to the pandemic. And we continue to work with all member states, including Nigeria, to address the threat we have now with the third wave, driven mostly by the Delta variant. And we continue to provide the technical support, even in the field, to ensure that we train more people so that they are capable of responding to different challenges as they pertain to COVID-19 pandemic. So it's really a joint effort through the UN system, through the whole of government approach and the whole of society, and we are also we are actually part of all these efforts. So in that context, as we are doing this donation today, Nigeria, like other countries, were called upon to ensure that the capacity for critical care it's upscale, and this contribution of ventilators will contribute to that readiness, so that if the situation escalates, we'll be able to handle it with what we have and with contribution of everybody.
Our response is a response of appreciation and gratitude for supporting the effort to respond to the COVID-19 outbreak in Nigeria. This is a pandemic that is affecting all parts of the world. For critical care, we require ventilators, and we are happy and appreciative for any addition to these assets, so that the spread can be all over the country, and the capacity to handle severe cases of COVID-19 is grossly enhanced. WHO is also supporting the training and capacity building for intensivists, that's intensive care doctors and nurses, who will be using these ventilators as the case arises.
Honorable Minister, in the face of the daunting challenge of the moment, particularly the increase that we see in the number of COVID-19 cases, what other efforts is the federal government making to curb further spread of the virus, particularly the Delta variant, which is now on the increase on a daily basis?
Yes, the federal government is doing a lot to curb the increase in COVID-19, Delta variant infections going on. As you know, most of the world is very apprehensive about this, the spread of this variant. In Nigeria, we are reducing importation by doing routine checks and surveillance at our borders, both air entry borders, land and sea, and we have in fact identified cases that would have been a threat if imported into our country, because they may have been coming from areas where the Delta variant is predominant. We are also preparing to handle cases which become severe by reopening all the beds, treatment and infection centers, infection control centers, and preparing all those who have been trained to be on standby, and assets like these that have just been donated to us now will be distributed to the hospitals and the intensive care units where the treatment will take place. Government has put in massive investments to have oxygen plants in all parts of the country, so that we shall not suffer from lack of oxygen, which, as you may have seen, has been the predicament of countries who have suffered under the under the third wave of COVID-19. So we shall have oxygen enough, and then the therapeutics that go along to reduce two things. First of all, reduce the incidence, both from importation and also from community transmission, and also to be able to reduce mortality from those who are badly affected by the complications of COVID-19.